All Latinos have a race-based right to migrate to the United States, Democratic Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said Thursday. We have to have respect for the right of human mobility, Ocasio-Cortez told a press conference on Capitol Hill. She continued, "It is a right. We are standing on native land, and Latino people are descendants of native people. We cannot be told and criminalized simply for our identity or our status." Ocasio-Cortez's racial claim would allow hundreds of millions of Latinos to migrate to the United States, regardless of U.S. laws and voters' preferences. Her argument would also deny similar race-based migration rights to people who are not Latinos. The New York representative tied her open borders claim to her denunciation of funding for the Department of Homeland Security. "I will not commit $1, not $1, to an agency which dived when they were trusted to take care of Jacqueline Cal." Cal was a Guatemalan child who died in early December 2018 after her father carried her across a remote stretch of the U.S.-Mexico border. He was part of a large group of economic migrants who illegally entered the United States. Ocasio-Cortez's racial argument is different but also complementary to the open borders claims by American progressives who argue that the United States is a nation of and for immigrants, not a nation of and for Americans and their children. She also argued that the U.S. Constitution protects migration. "We are a land of laws, and what that means is that everyone who steps on this soil deserves to have access to our Bill of Rights. And that is what makes Americans special," the New York representative said. Each year, 4 million Americans are born, and 4 million Americans turn 18. But the federal government brings in more than 1 million legal immigrants, alongside an inflow of roughly 300,000 illegals and overstays. The establishment's economic policy of using legal and illegal migration to boost economic growth shifts enormous wealth from young employees towards older investors by flooding the market with cheap white-collar and blue-collar foreign labor. That annual flood of roughly 1 million legal immigrants, as well as visa workers and illegal immigrants, spikes profits and Wall Street values by shrinking salaries for 150 million blue-collar and white-collar employees and especially wages for the 4 million young Americans who join the labor force each year. The cheap labor policy widens wealth gaps, reduces high-tech investment, increases state and local tax burdens, hurts kids' schools and college education, pushes Americans away from high-tech careers, and sidelines millions of marginalized Americans, including many who are now struggling with fentanyl addictions. Immigration also steers investment and wealth away from towns in heartland states because coastal investors can more easily hire and supervise the large immigrant populations who prefer to live in coastal cities. In turn, that coastal investment flow drives up coastal real estate prices and pushes poor U.S. Americans, including Latinos and blacks, out of prosperous cities such as Berkeley and Oakland, California.